everyone. Thank you for joining Peace in the Pod. I'm Loretta, and I wanted to know if I could share something with you. So today, I wanted to share a little bit about what led me to discovering my higher purpose. And this particular topic, it might get a little deep, a little deepity deep. There's some things just over the years kind of got me thinking about like how I was when I was younger and how I am at this very moment. And I remember I've always wanted to like speak up and have a voice at certain times, but then there was always like this part of me that was like, no, just be quiet, don't say anything. But I remember when I was a teenager that there was a moment when my dad and I kind of got into this argument. I don't remember exactly what it was about. And I remember one of my brothers was standing there, and my dad, we were just like yelling back and forth. And he said something that was, he said, that little red thing in your mouth is going to get you in trouble. And I remember just like yelling back, like, no one's going to put their hands on me. And then my brother was like, that's not what he's saying. He's not saying that someone's going to put their hands on you. He's talking about your tongue. And I was just like, well, whatever. And I don't remember how the argument ended or whatever, but I do remember that happening. And I was very like upset. But after that, as I started being on my own and just kind of experiencing things in life, there have been moments that had transpired where I felt like if I said something, it would get me in trouble. So that kind of stuck with me. And I do feel like that argument that I had with my dad is what kind of prevented me from continuing to speak up and have a voice and saying what I felt I should say. And I just kind of became more of like watching people's body language whenever I was interacting with them. And if they seemed to be like getting a little annoyed or angry or bothered in any way by what I was saying, I would just stop and I would kind of change my angle of what I'm saying because I could see that the person is already starting to react a certain way. And for me, I just avoided the confrontation or the other person getting angry. So I became more of a people pleaser. And it was just more of like, okay, if they look like they're still happy or they're, going along with what I'm saying, then I'll keep saying it. But the moment their energy shifted or their body language shifted, then I would kind of rescind a little bit and conform into the whole people pleasing. And I do believe that argument that I had with my dad and that comment that he made kind of put me in that place because I was very fearful of people's reaction to me. And I'm not saying like, oh, it's my dad's fault because I still have a mind of my own. I could have made my own decisions and continued to be the way that I was, but it did interfere with me continuing to have a voice. But as I was getting older and kind of experiencing some things, I started. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I was younger, I had no idea who I was as a person. I had no idea what direction I was headed into. I was just living life and not really focused on what is my purpose in life. And that's probably with most young people. But I always knew that I wouldn't stay where I was, I grew up and went to school. I always knew that I was going to get away from that small town. I was going to find a way to travel the world. I had a lot of big dreams for myself, and I didn't want to have that same very simple lifestyle that my parents had. And my parents seemed very happy where they were, but that just wasn't where I envisioned myself being when I got older. And I just had a lot of bigger dreams than what my parents had. And I was very adamant about trying to find a career, a job that I could have a career in rather than just a job where I'm just working somewhere. And it took a while for me to really completely discover myself. I mean, I just feel like, honestly, the past few years is when it actually hit me, um, of what I needed to do and where I needed to go as far as my life's journey. And there's been a lot of things that have transpired throughout the years. There are a few key moments that kind of stuck out that I feel like that was part of um, the self discovery path, I would say. Because there's been some things that have happened that have put me in places where I had no choice but to stand up for myself. And I do feel like I was placed in those situations to bring that part of myself back out and to not keep suppressing it. I needed to be my authentic self. And I was so scared of how people would react. And I didn't want that, to the point where I was hiding my true self. And I was holding myself back from where I could be or could have been, um, to this day. And I don't regret any of the things that I've been through. I know that I had to go through those in order to get to my full self discovery. Um, but those were some very hard moments that I went through. And most of the time, right after those situations happened, I was more upset of like, why did I have to go through that? Well, that was wasted time. I'll never get back. And it took me a very long time to understand that those things weren't happening to me. They were happening for me because I needed to get back to my authentic self. And there were parts of me that things needed to happen in order to get that part of me out, to wake it up, get it back to where I was me. And I had lost myself. Like, I seriously had no idea who I was when I was in my 20s. I was just lost. And once I started realizing that I enjoyed the authentic version of myself, and I wasn't afraid to express myself and show my real self to people, it was a very empowering feeling. It was, I don't know, I just felt like it didn't matter what people thought of me. It was it was just, this is me, and some people will like me, some people won't. And the ones that don't, that is a very personal problem that they will have to work out on their own. That's not something I'm concerned with. I know that I'm a good, kind hearted person, and I treat people with dignity and respect. And I don't mistreat people, and I don't have bad intent. So I know that I'm not doing anything wrong for people to not like me. So whatever they're going through, that those individuals don't like me, then they'll just have to figure it out on their own. Um, but I just know that it took a long time for me to just kind of sit and reflect and just kind of think. I had a really bad breakup several years ago. And I remember, like, every now and then I would still hang out with my friends, but I remember like sitting in my apartment just with my thoughts. And I started getting more into praying and reading the Bible because I had kind of gotten away from that for some reason. I don't know why, but I got back into the Bible. I started praying more. And I just remember saying that I was going to forgive that person for what they did and just move on from there. And it was like a sense of relief after that. I just felt healed. I felt whole. I felt new again. And I continued that process. If anything challenging happened in life, I would continue to um, pray on it and move forward. So when I was younger, I would only pray and talk to God whenever things were challenging. And I didn't have a solid connection the way that I do today. And I do regret like only turning to God in times of struggle or when, I felt like it was me against the world type of situations. And I had to get past um, only going to Him like when I felt like I needed Him, because I need Him all the time. But for some reason, I was still in that mindset that it was only when things got challenging that I would reach out to God. And that was not a good um, approach. So obviously, as I got older, um, praying and reading the Bible had been a little more regular in my life. But it took a while to get there, to understand that relationship that I needed to build, to have that faith. And it couldn't just be when times are challenging, it should be all the time. So fast forwarding to today, praying and reading the Bible have been a regular part of my week. And I don't want to fall back into those old patterns of only having faith when things are tough. I say all of this to basically say, if you feel like there is a part of you that you are suppressing because you're afraid of how people may react to that, then maybe that might be the part of you that will lead you to your higher purpose. And it is time to let that part of you shine. If there's something in you that's like pushing you and nudging you to release that part, let it out. That may be just the piece of you that will get you to that higher purpose. And I believe we all are here with a higher purpose. Some people are interested in knowing what that is, and others are not. I am one that I feel that there are parts of me that were meant to be here to help others. And I've always been a person who wanted to care for others, to help others in any way that I can. Um, and I think that, I mean, it took me a very long time to not be afraid to say what I need to say. And I had to face a lot of situations where I was forced to speak up. And those times when I chose not to speak up, I was placed in even harder situations that at some point I had no choice but to speak up. And I appreciate all those moments because it did bring out the authentic version of myself. And I would have never gotten to this point if I never would have been in those situations. So I am very thankful that those happened because I love the new version of myself. Even though it was the old version, I lost it along the way. But it's fun being me. And I'm sure that the rest of you, if you are living your true authentic self, you are enjoying it as well. If you feel like your light has been dimmed, try to find ways to help you shine bright again. And pay attention to the situations you may face, because sometimes those are the key to helping you get back to the authentic you. If you keep facing the same situation, then there's a good chance that maybe you need to change your reaction to that situation in order to get past that situation. I feel like we are all slowly being pushed toward our purpose. Some respond and others don't. And depending on how and where you want to be, you have to ask yourself, am I happy where I currently am? Or do I see myself making a change to be better? The choice is yours. So take a moment to reflect on some significant life experiences and think about those moments of deep fulfillment, any reoccurring passions or areas where your natural talents align with causes greater than yourself. And look for instances where you felt a strong contribution by using your skills to positively impact others and the world around you. Thanks again for tuning in. Peace in a Pod. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, follow, or subscribe. And also, if you know someone else that would enjoy it, please share it with them. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.